Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tech Talk here at MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group, securities provided by MoneyBlock, where we marry charts and analysis of option prices, all to give you perspective on where stocks are going. So I wanted to take a little bit of approach this afternoon, and I actually had someone send me an email saying, hey, Joe, you know what? I get all this unusual volume activity in options. Now, for those of you that don't trade options, those calls and puts that I sometimes refer to, that we utilize for taking a look at what potential price action could happen with stocks, I thought, all right, I'll listen to them. And I found some unusual activity that I'm going to bring to light. Some of it's in front of some binary events like earnings. So why not let's just jump in, take a look at the activity of the option transactions that are happening, then take a look at the charts, kind of give us an idea of what the stock's been doing up to this point, and look at the option pricing universally, see what it's forecasting for potential movement in the stock. What do you think? All right, let's take a look. First one is Acadia Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol ACAD. Stock's trading at 27.13, right around 65 cents up today, or 2.55%. I saw the December 31 calls. Now, these are trading in the month of December. They're going to expire in 14 days, 2 weeks. There was about 3,300, almost 3,400 of the calls traded. The open interest previously was 2,300 contracts. The implied volatility was at 131%. Previously, it was at 110, and it's on the upper end of its 52-week range as far as volatility. So that means there's a heightened expectation of potentially violent moves, either up or down in this stock. That's what those numbers mean. So you got the December 31 calls, which are out of the money. They're above where the stock is trading at $27. You have more contracts trading today than what were previously open over the last few months, and you have implied volatility higher. The company already reported earnings and isn't expected to report earnings until next February. So there's no binary event in here. So what do you do? Well, let's go ahead and look at the charts. And when you look at the charts, I look at the 20, the 50, and the 200-day moving average. The 20-day moving average, I look at that to establish where is the trend. Is the trend up, down, and is it in a good, does it have good standing? Is there some belief in it? Right now, the stock trading at 27.13. The 20-day moving average is at 27.65. It needs to get up to above that if I'm going to start seeing some conviction on the movement to the upside in Acadia. The other thing is I look at the 50-day. The reason why I look at the 50-day, I call that my institutional moving average. That's where I believe that the institutions will start to get nervous if it's at or below. In other words, the stock's coming down and starting to look like it might become bearish. I watch it very closely then, see if it holds there. If it challenges it, but then rises above, then you could see institutions actually start to jump in and buy some more if they're already in, or institutions that were waiting, that might be appropriate level for them to start buying. Then I finally look at the 200-day moving average just to get an idea of what the overall trend has been for basically almost the last year. In Acadia, ticker symbol ACAD, comes in at $30.20. So the overall trend, while short-term might be trending to the upside, it's got a lot of work to do to really get me believing that this is in an overall uptrend. The options are pricing into this December expiration, when these options that triggered all of this analysis, they're pricing in the potential for the stock to move either up or down about $4.22 going into the December expiration, which is over the next 2 weeks. So we do have pricing in this stock from the options that's basically telling us there is the potential for it to move, or at least that's what the market makers who are pricing those markets are anticipating is for potential movement. So very interesting, a $4+ move in a $20 stock. So you're talking, basically, you're talking about a 20% move in a stock being priced in right now potentially over the next 2 weeks. That's one to keep an eye on. The next one I want to take a look at is Fiat Chrysler. Stock's trading at $7.59, down about 15 cents today. The reason why I wanted to take a look at this one is that there have been a lot of November sales that have come out from other automakers like GM and Ford. So I thought, why not take a look at this one? Plus, I did see some interesting activity in Fiat Chrysler, ticker symbol FCAU. The December $8 calls traded around 6,900 times. Now, the open interest is substantial. It's at about 19,400. So there's been trade there. The implied volatility, it's up. As a matter of fact, the previous implied volatility for this option strike was at 7% yesterday. It's at 56% today. So there's a huge spike in that implied volatility. The company is expected to report their earnings in late January, but that binary event happens after the expiration of these December 8 calls. So, very interesting. What do you do if you're looking at this or you see this activity? You can go take a look at the charts. What's been happening? 20-day moving average comes in at 745. Stock's trading at 759. So now I got the stock above that 20-day moving average. Great. So the trend seems to be my friend. I take a look at the 50-day moving average. Here's something else that's interesting. The 50-day moving average is at $7.01. It's below where the stock's trading. It's also below where the 20-day moving average is. So now you got this gap. And as that gap gets bigger, that means the trend tends to get a little bit stronger until you start seeing challenges again of those midterm and short-term moving averages, the 20 and 50. Overall, the 200-day moving average comes in at 690. So if you're a long-term holder and you're starting to think, well, where do I get nervous on this stock? 690 would be a level where you're going to start looking at it and saying, well, what is my capital management on this? What's my profit? What's my loss? What's the risk and reward? How do I feel about it? The options right now pricing into December expiration are the potential for this stock to move almost 10% or around 71 cents either up or down. So there is movement for these calls to actually get in the money at expiration. And if they bought them, that would be positive. If they sold them, that's going to be working against them. It could have been someone also, too, that was taking advantage of the implied volatility spike and writing calls against stock that they already owned, taking that premium in, lowering their cost basis on their stock. But again, now I have more transparency on what the charts are telling me, what's been happening in the past, what the options are telling me, what potentially could happen either going up or down into the future. This is all fungible. In other words, when the stock moves or days pass, this changes. But now you have a little more transparency. I want to take a look at JetBlue. We've had a lot of airline data that's been coming out. Delta actually announced their fare numbers and passenger rates, and they were down a little bit lower. So I wanted to take a look at JetBlue. Reason being, I looked at JetBlue to get my kid back home from college. So JBLU, stock's trading at $20.97. It's up 57 cents today, or around 2.79%. Another reason why I wanted to take a look at it, as I was thinking about airlines and I was looking at JetBlue to get an airline ticket, literally, I saw the January $22 calls were trading. Traded about 13,000 times today. Open interest was 2,500. That means that basically 6 times as many options traded today as were opened over the previous 12 months. So significant volume today. Implied volatility at 37. Previously was at 32. So vol is up, but not astronomically. You know, when you think about this, you see 6,000 options traded on one ticket, and then you see 19,000 total in one day. That means something's going on. There is earnings that are supposed to be coming out in January, but again, the expectation is that they're going to come out on the 26th, which is after the expiration of these options. So what are the charts telling us? Right now, the 50-day moving average is at 1990. Stock's trading at 2097. So you see that the stock is above the 20-day. That means that it's a healthy trend to the upside right now. The 50-day moving average is at 1854. Again, I look at that. Institutions that are in it or larger players, it's well above that level. So I have some confidence there. And then the 200-day moving average comes in at the same level as the 50. The 1854 level. So you have a lot of price action that's sitting right below where the stock is trading. Also, you're seeing a greater divide between the 50 and 200 day. If the stock pulls down and goes to the 20, I'm not totally nervous. As a matter of fact, that gives the institutions an opportunity to buy a stock that's been trending up at a little bit more of a discount from where it was trading, and they believe in their thesis that it's still going up, they may come in and buy. That could be the catalyst. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one. The options going into December expiration are pricing in the potential for JetBlue to move up or down for the next 2 weeks of $1.22. And then finally, I wanted to throw out just a little bit of a bearish one. It's a pharmaceutical company called GW Pharmaceuticals. Ticker symbol is GWPH. Stock's trading at 112.14. It's up 286 today, or 2.6%. The D's $95 puts were trading. And the reason why I was looking at this one is because it has earnings on Monday. And typically on Tech Talk, I talk about stocks that are having earnings either after hours or, in this case, the following day, which the following trading day is Monday. There has been a pretty significant amount of volume, about 2,000, almost 2,100 contracts traded on the D's 95 puts. That means they only have 2 weeks to basically play out. The previous open interest, in other words, the number of contracts that traded before this today was 80 contracts. So there wasn't a lot of activity there. Start to think. Volatility was at 102, and previously was at 85. So you have a big volatility spike, and it's in front of earnings. In other words, this is a binary event. The stock is being priced to potentially move. Now, where are the charts telling us where the stock has been, and what are the moving averages telling us? Well, the 20-day moving average is at 121, stock's at 112. Stock's well below that. The 50-day moving average is at 123.40, again below that. Not surprising, especially with these biotechs. Quite often they're smaller caps and they're higher beta, so it's very difficult to get a lot of institutional buy-in unless there is something really interesting. Now, what is interesting though is that the 200-day moving average is at 92.70. So that means that there's a lot of price action below this 112 price. So there is support in this stock, but right now it's been trending. Looks like it's been trending to the downside, both on the 20 and 50 day. The options right now are telling us that going into the December expiration, this thing could move. As a matter of fact, they're pricing in the potential to move either up or down about $16.85. So that's a pretty significant move, but it is a $112 stock. It does have decent volume, but again, want to keep an eye on that. They're pricing in for some potential movement, and that's in front of the binary event. So we'll watch what those earnings are coming out with on Monday, December 5th. Well, that's it right now for Tech Talk. Gave you a ton of information. Did something we don't always do, which is look at unusual volume activity on options and then utilize the charts and the option pricing to give you some perspective on what's been going on with the stock and where could it potentially be, either up or down. And we did it all right here in Tech Talk on MarketStream.live. All right, folks, I will see you at 4:30 Eastern time for the closing bell. Till then, have a great rest of the evening.